Hello everyone. Here I am with the third day story of Navaratri. On the third day, Ma Durga is worshipped as Ma Chandraghanta. Her forehead is bedecked with a crescent moon, and she is the incarnation of Adishakti. Sati, when she self immolated herself in the celestial yagna, she again came in her next birth as Adi Sakti. In the Shiva Purana, it is mentioned that Himavana and Mena had worshipped Adi Sakti to bless them with a daughter. And Adi Sakti was so pleased with them that she was born to them as Parvati. And in our last story, what we know that on the insistence of sage Narada, Parvati went through lot of penance to get Lord Shiva as her husband, who happened to be her husband in her last birth as well, in the previous birth as well. So, so she had tried all this to get her husband back, and Brahma had granted her wish. But Shiva, after losing his wife Sati, had lost all interest in the worldly affairs, and he had retired to the mountains and was in deep meditation. But looking at Parvati's resolve and all that penance she had gone through, he finally agreed to marry her. So the wedding date was fixed, and the wedding was to take place at Himavansa palace. So the wedding procession came, but it was the most strangest of procession they had ever seen. The procession comprised of ghosts, aghoris, sages, ascetics, and the most strangest of creatures people had ever seen. And Lord Shiva himself was not dressed as a groom. He was all smeared with ashes, with snakes around his neck, and his head was unkempt and matted, and it looked all bad. But Parvati never disliked all these things. But her mother and her relatives, looking at all this, they were very much terrified, and many of them got fainted because of this. So, in order to avoid much embarrassment to Lord Shiva or her family, Parvati took a very terrible form. She possessed 10 hands, and she looked all golden, and she rode a lion. On all her 9 hands, she carried weapons: a trident, a sword, a mace, a bell, a goad, a lotus, a kamandalu, and a vase, and all these things she carried. But in the 10th hand, she had the blessings for her devotees. And then that form was that of Chandraghanta. In that form, she pleaded and persuaded Lord Shiva to transform himself into a handsome prince. And Lord Shiva obliged. He changed into a transformed into a handsome prince with lot of jewels and looking very bright and brilliant. And finally, their wedding took place. And that day is celebrated as Mahasivaratri every year. In the incarnation of Chandraghanta, she blesses her devotees like a mother, but she is terrible and malevolent to her enemies. People worship her in that form to get rid of their sins, their difficulties, their mental disturbances, and all their obstacles in their life. And she blesses them profoundly. That is what is the Avatara of Chandraghanta of Ma Durga. Jai Ma Durga.